What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner channel. And, well, you can call the time of death on our title race this season. Sunday the 14th of May at 6:30 with the result Arsenal 0, Brighton 3, and that's it. Yes, look, I've been glimmer of hope and holding on to hope and hope beyond hope, but even I'm saying right now, look, it's silly even talking about this anymore. We need to put it behind us. We need to accept the disappointment of coming as close as we did. So many times during the season, it looked like being the fairy story. When you look back on this season, years from now, I still believe it will be a catalyst season. It will be the season where we saw the process beginning to bear fruit. And there are lots of lessons we're going to learn from this. I want to start with what happened in the game today and why we lost. And then I want to talk about a little bit about where we need to go from here and what lessons we've learned from the season. But before I do any of that, if you came to this channel expecting me to be fuming or angry or point a finger at any one particular individual for failing, I want to be absolutely clear. Not one of those players out there failed. Not this season and not today. Those players have played far ahead of what was expected of them, and I am thrilled at the levels of performance that we've shown. Yes, it's tough to lose at home, and starting with that performance today, it was tired legs, it was nervousness. I can't help but think they had too much of I can't help but think they'd watched that Man City Everton game, and it did take the energy out of the day. You know, Man City able to rotate 4 key players. I mean, this is a team that can rest Mahrez and not play him at all and then bring him in when they need to. Alvarez, outstanding. Well, you know, there are players that were rested for most of the season. Phil Foden. These are the kind of quality players we just don't have in reserve. And if you just took that simple comparison of being able to drop Kevin De Bruyne, where are the games where we've been able to drop Odegaard or Saka? Where are the games where we could say, okay, look, you know what, Ben White, you've played really well, you need a bit of a rest? Arteta has really stuck all season to this idea that, you know, the first 11. And if there is a learning curve, his is as steep as anyone's. Let us not forget this is his first job in management. And what an amazing achievement to run a Man City team put together for over £1 billion, flouting every fair play regulation in order to pay players like Erling Haaland £1 million a week or near enough. And with the team assembled for a third of that team, without any of the other resources, he has taken it to the last 2 or 3 games of the season. And I think that has come down to the way he's communicated with the players and the way his tactics have worked. But we have one style of play. And today, our press was just woeful. The energy wasn't there. Saka looked tired. Martinelli, for all his running in the beginning, it was a shame to see him come off. Trossard offered very little when he came on. When I talk about tiredness, I don't necessarily think I'm talking about just the fatigue of a long season. I think that Gary Neville, and he will take a lot of Gary Neville. Now, I think we have to accept that he has been right all along. I hate to say it. I predicted that he was going to be insufferable in this situation. But I listened to him this week, and I think that one of the reasons you have to take him very seriously, he's one of the very few men in history who's achieved winning the Premier League 3 times in a row, twice. And he talked about his first experiences of winning the league in 95, 96, where it was really the more experienced players who'd done it before that got them over the line, that he suddenly found his legs were heavy and he was not able to play at the standard. Now, when you look at our young team, you see that across the pitch. I saw Jesus run out of ideas, but there really wasn't anyone to throw on. We did see Emil Smith-Rowe, we did see Nketiah, perhaps too late. I think this might have gone some way, this game, to clearing up a few of the kind of niggling questions that have been over the Arsenal. You know, people saying, we needed to bring Tierney in, and Tierney wasn't that special today. You know, he should have been one of the fittest players we had out there. He didn't have a great game. I mean, none of them did. I felt for Trossard and giving away the second because I don't think it's all on him. I think there's just a mental fatigue. We went up against City and they were just too good for us. Where we go from here, now I think that we will look back on this season as a catalyst. I think that what I've said a few times before is that when you look at how it affected the players all summer to know that they'd come so close to Champions League last year and just missed out. That was a real driving force in how we had such a great pre-season. How we turned up fully focused. We need to make some additions to our squad. We really seriously need to make additions. Now, look, assuming Tomiyasu comes back and is fully fit and Saliba comes back and is fully fit, what's been made clear to us is that we need backup. There's a lot of talk about Cancelo. That's the kind of player that will take us to another level. We obviously need defensive midfield because Partey came on today. I think he was even handed the captain's armband. Please comment if you know when Odegaard went off and Granit Xhaka was off, who actually became Arsenal captain, because we definitely lacked a bit of leadership towards the end. It was very disjointed. But Thomas Partey's time at Arsenal is coming to an end. I wouldn't be surprised if he was sold this summer and part of the transfer fee went towards signing Declan Rice and another. So Declan Rice and Caicedo. I didn't think Caicedo had a bad game today at all. I thought he played really well. I don't think he stood out necessarily in a way that you would expect to suddenly be paying 80 million for, but it is a position that is, getting high transfer fees at the moment, and there are very few world-class defensive midfielders. Tchouaméni, Real Madrid was talked about being available. Perhaps he's one that you would get at a lower cost. I digress. We absolutely are going to need to have centre-back cover that we didn't have this season, an upgrade on Rob Holding and, dare I say it, Kivior. I think long-term Kivior is somebody that is seen as perhaps an inverted fullback in that kind of model that way Ben White has this season, but he needs more time to settle in and get used to the Premier League, and that's fine. Up front, obviously Balogun will be coming back from loan. I imagine if we're not selling him, or if we are selling him, are we bringing in a Vlahovic? We're certainly not bringing in Osimhen. There really aren't that many great forwards out there to be linked we've been linked with that would really excite me. Tammy Abraham, I don't necessarily think is particularly an upgrade on Eddie Nketiah. But we need players, and this is the pivotal thing. We need to be able to rest players. And I think this season we have been able to rest them more than we have done. Emil Smith-Rowe could have played a bigger part this season, and it's a bit of a mystery to me that he hasn't. I think when you remember that Arteta is in his first ever management job and how well he's done and is doing, you can cut him a little slack, but we are witnessing a very steep learning curve. And I think one of the things that he learned over his first 2 seasons was that not to stick with players when it's definitely not working. He made the decisions to drop Thomas Partey today. He stuck by his guns on that one. I don't think it was the wrong decision. But I think inevitably, if you press to 90% of what you can do, a team like Brighton will pass their way through it. And I have to say, I'm not necessarily convinced by De Zerbi yet. I'm not sure. I think he's kind of benefiting from the team that Potter put together and the spirit and the atmosphere around Brighton. They came to the Emirates with less pressure on them, probably because of that 5-1 defeat, but he managed to get them into shape. He managed to get them motivated, and they fought and scrapped today. And yes, they time wasted, but not, I'm not going to hold that against them. It's what we did at Newcastle. It's what you do. They are going for European place, and I seriously hope that they have done enough today to get them there, because they are, apart from Arsenal, the team that I love to watch most in the Premier League, and they have the great story. Although I do wonder what's happened to all the money they've recouped in sales, because they certainly aren't spending it on players. When you look at 2.5 million for Mitoma, 2.5 million for Caicedo, some great business, but where's the money going? Bloom, where's your money going? For me, I'm not. This is going to sound really weird, and I don't want it to be taken the wrong way, but I'm almost glad today happened, because it was that sort of, it just wanted to be over. And I think that's partly how the players felt. Yes, if Man City lose at home to Chelsea. Yes, if they lose away to Brentford on the last day of the season, or just before it if they lose to Brighton, which, if today's match has shown us anything, it's more than possible. I am getting set. I'm already getting it on Facebook. I've had Man City fans telling me that this must feel like pain. It doesn't, to be honest with you. I imagine losing at home to 3,000 fans watching you lose at home to York is probably where I would call pain. Tottenham fans laughing at us. Wow. Wow. That should be a beacon of hope to any Arsenal fan, shouldn't it? If a Tottenham fan who's endured what Tottenham fans have endured for over 30 years can still smile and laugh, then we should be smiling and laughing. I'm gutted there isn't going to be a parade in Islington this month. I won't be in that parade celebrating and getting hopelessly drunk and cheering and singing songs as I remember doing so often. But our time will come. I would have taken this season at the beginning of the season. With the disappointment in the Cup, particularly I'm talking about the Europa League, that game against Sporting that went to penalties and went too long, and in which we lost Tomiyasu and Saliba. I think next season, in the off-season, we have to be looking at making 6 transfers, significant transfers, and promoting some youth prospects. On the top of my wish list right now is cover for left and right back, so Cancelo. I would have Declan Rice, Cancelo as my absolute must-gets this summer. I don't know what a transfer chest is, but I hope that, whilst it seems churlish to say this, while there were so many chairmen out there who were much worse, Daniel Levy, Todd Bowley, there are chairmen out there that, would be the stuff of horror if we had to endure it. And the Cronkies, well, there hasn't been so much clamour against the Cronkies, but this summer is where we find out how serious they are. We are a self-sustaining club to a degree, but there is an opportunity here to invest in a team that is going to be playing Champions League, recouping much more revenue than we're used to in the last 5 or 6 years, and the home support. I just want to finish on that, actually. I absolutely adore the home support we've had, and the away, hearing them even at the Etihad when we were losing as badly as we were, makes me so proud to be a Gooner. Absolutely 100%, 10 out of 10 effort from every fan. I know there were fans streaming away today. I hate to see it. I hate to see fans streaming away. As far as I'm concerned, they only get 90 minutes of football. Stay for the 90 minutes. I'm sure the Ashburton Army were there till 5 past the end, and they are the model of how we should behave. We are a team on an upward trajectory. We have a really good chance next season if we can add to what we've already done this season, and if we stick with this process. I'm going to avoid all the City fans gloating. I'm going to run headlong towards any Tottenham fans that want to have a pop. Chelsea fans who've been not strangely quiet. I'm ready to hold my head up high with anyone. People talking to me about the pain of this. This is not painful. This is not painful at all. Losing a Europa Cup to Chelsea, that was painful. No, we have been the second best team in the league. And whilst no one wants to be second best in anything, it's a lot better than being third best, fourth best, and, well, you know the rest. It's certainly not relegation. And it's certainly not having a manager, not having a sporting director, and not having a prayer of getting into Europe. It's certainly not finishing 11th after spending 700 million. It's definitely not a 7-0 demolishing at home to Liverpool. It's not Liverpool desperately trying to find a way into the Champions League with just games to go. We are doing really well, and it's a shame there's no silverware to show for it. Anyway, I'm fuming, girl! I feel like it's one of the luckiest things that ever happened to me being an Arsenal fan. I hope you all are as lucky as me. Be lucky! Lots of love.